Alrighty, so you want to make a custom boss or NPC. First thing you gotta do is figure out what character you want to replace. So you can do that with this little list here. It's in my Discord, or you can use Yapt. But once you have figured out what it is you want to modify, you'll just want to go to the character folder on your game directory. It needs to be unpacked with UXM, and then just use the ID that you found from the character sheet. I made a separate folder for the tutorial. I would recommend doing that in general for any projects you're working on to keep it organized, and then copy the character BND and then both the H and L text BNDs into it. I would also then take those, what you have them highlighted, drag them into Yabber to unpack them. Next, you're going to want to open up your Flver tools, like the Bloodborne tool and all that stuff. That's also in the Discord. You'll want to take the Flver from the character BND and then drop it in the Bloodborne model v3 so that you get the source model out of it. I'm just going to paste that in the root of our tutorial folder here. Next, you're probably going to want to find a model to use. You can just go to Sketchfab and just look up rigged stuff. Some cost money, some don't. You can just scroll through them and find something. I already have one, but this is a decent resource if you don't already have something on deck. Alright, so we're just importing the source model into Blender. It sometimes takes a second, which is fine. We're just gonna get things stitching gated here, and we are going to hide the skeleton because it's annoying and it blocks a bunch of crap. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna really quickly go and get rid of any meshes that aren't really necessary for transferring data to. So now we're gonna go ahead and join all of the objects together because we're not gonna be doing anything with it other than transferring its data, so making it one object makes it a lot easier. And then we're gonna import our model that we're using, which is an FBX in this instance. I'm gonna be using the Jonesy rig, and he's real big, so we're just gonna zip through getting him sized up real quick. Alright, so we have an approximate lining up going on here in terms of size and general-ish. So what we're going to do is we're just going to not click the wrong thing. We're going to go into pose mode here, and we're going to select the upper arm bone real quick, and then we're going to rotate it to try and get it lined up with Melena's arms. If you are wanting like it to be perfect, you're gonna have to do some more finagling than this. This is just kind of to showcase how to do it, not necessarily how to fix everything and make everything one-to-one. That's quite a chore. But what we're doing here is we just kind of lined up those arms, got those set up, and then we're going in and applying the armature modifier after we got those arms set, and then we're going to reapply the armature modifier with the Melena skeleton instead of the rig that came with the model. And then we're going to delete the rig model, or not the rig, the skeleton that came with our new model, and we're going to then resize them really quick because it snapped them back up to full size without the skeleton in it. So, and we're just transferring the mesh data from the Melena skin to the Jonesy skin, so that way all the like weight data is there, so it tracks with the skeleton and everything. This part takes a second sometimes. But once you've done that, you can go ahead and you can delete the original skin. So we're left over with our skin now. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of the old vertexes and stuff like that that have weight assigned to them, because sometimes there's weird conflicts. So we're just going to zip through me deleting those really quick. Alrighty, so we just cleared out all of those from the model itself. You could probably do that before you get to this point after transferring and whatnot, but it's not really a big deal. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to just look into cleaning up some weight paint issues. I'll throw an example of what it looks like if we don't fix anything. You'll see things stretching around and whatnot, so we're going to clean that up really quick. You can see right here, the upper arm there is bleeding into the ribs region under the arm. So that means when you move that arm, it's going to also pull that rib area around and stretch it like it's part of the arm. So what we're doing is we're painting it to be not part of the arm. So we're going to paint it with 0 weight, make it dark blue so it's not colored with the arm there. And then we're going to repeat this process kind of all the way around. So I'm just going to fast forward through this stuff real quick. Alright, so we're kind of just rounding out real quick, checking any other weights to make sure nothing's like super out of the ordinary. The face looks actually pretty normal considering it's supposed to be a moving model. So what we're going to do really quick is we're just going to apply our transformations so that way everything that we just did actually translates to our Flver file and in-game and all that. So just going to export it as an FBX real quick, right in the tutorial folder that I made earlier. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the character BND folder here, we're going to open it up and then open the Flver real quick as well so that we can delete all of the meshes except for the sword, because if you want the model that you're swapping in to have a weapon or something like that, you're going to want to leave it for them or swap that as well. To do that, we're just going to go into the Mesh tab. There you go. And then click the little delete button on the top. Uncheck the boxes for the sword, and then we're going to go and click Modify here. So all looks good there. Next, you're just going to go down to Import Model, and then click on yours. You're going to want to click No on everything except for Set LOD Level. LOD Level just makes it so you can see things from far away. They don't like pop in and out. They're just there. So then you'll just modify to save it. You can close it. We're going to delete the old character BND and then repack the one that we made the changes to. And then with the repacked version, we're just going to copy it and then paste it into our mod folder. And then we're just going to jump into the game really quick and see how it looks for us. Alright, so the model is in the game here, but it obviously doesn't have the textures applied to it correctly. It just has whatever Melana's textures would have been stretched all over our new model. So we are going to go show you how to get the textures all set up and applied. Alright, so we got our textures that came with our model on the left there, and then we've got the text BNDs that came with our model, like the Melana model. So we're going to open those up, unpack the TPFs with Yammer really quick. And then we're going to delete everything out of it that's not just the weapon. That's pretty easy though. So now we're just left with the weapons in there, and then we're going to take our textures that came with the model. We're going to convert them to DDS so that the game can read them. So I'm just going to open up with Photoshop. You can do this with like Paint.net and all that kind of stuff, but Photoshop is what I use. There's a plugin for the Intel DDS and all that kind of stuff, but I'll link that and all the tools used as usual in the description. So once we're in here, we're literally just gonna save as the Intel DDS on all of them. That's it. So we're just gonna make that happen real quick. And then these are the settings that I use for when I save them. Just color plus alpha, BC7, fine, and then just okay. And then that's all we're doing there. So I'm just gonna take these and toss them all into the TPF folder over here. And then I'm gonna rename them for sake of memory. The long name is not necessarily necessary. One thing to note when you are renaming textures and stuff like that, you don't want any two things that have the same name for a texture at all. Otherwise they will overlap or delete each other because of the way the game references them. It doesn't reference like based on what model and then looking for the ID. It just looks for the ID and assigns it to a model. So if you do a bunch of things, make sure they all have different names. Then we're going to open up the XML in there. And we're gonna get rid of all of the texture information in here associated with anything that's not the weapons, because we deleted everything that wasn't the weapons. This is important, otherwise you can't repack the folder because it's not matching what's inside the folder. Then we're just gonna copy the albedo texture set here, and we're just going to go paste it on the bottom 3 times in a row. And then we're going to change the names to match our textures that we added. So we've got 6 rows in the XML, 6 textures inside of the folder itself. And you just want to save it and close it. And then we're going to repack with Yabber. Don't do what I just did. Don't delete that because you're going to need to get back into it unless you're manually naming the textures inside of Flver Editor. But what you're going to want to do after that here is you're going to just want to repeat that in the L text B and D. Just do the exact same thing, but on the textures when you rename them _L at the very end of them. Alright, so next you're going to want to just navigate to the Flver of your new model, in our case it's our Jonesy one, and then go to the Material tab. One of the things you're going to want to do here is go to your textures down on the bottom, or the material paths for your textures. You're going to want to change the MTD path. I will paste what I use down in the description, and you're just going to want to put it right at the comma line after the first, what is that there, first quotation mark. Just follow along with kind of what the video shows there. So we're deleting everything and then pasting in the new MTD information there. So we're just doing that for all of our new materials. Ours has 3, yours may have less, it may have more. It's a good thing to do for all of them, otherwise the textures don't show correctly. Next, we're just going to start from the top and we're going to assign our textures. This can be done 2 ways. Right here, we are navigating into the HTTPF folder and we are manually clicking on what texture it is that we are trying to assign. So we're doing the head texture and then clicking OK. The other way that you can do it is by just manually typing in exactly the name followed by .tiff. So this is Jonesy hair .tiff. So if it's the, you might think do .dds, it's just .tiff for this. So we're doing, then it's Jonesy body .tiff instead of .dds, and then OK. And then you would go and click modify to save that, exit it, modify, OK, close it, and then you're gonna just want to go ahead and repack that character BND with Yabber again. You can then take that, slam that into your character folder inside of your mod folder or inside of your game directory if you don't use Mod Engine. And then we'll load up the game real quick and we'll take a look and see how things went from there. Looks like things are pretty good and well here. The model's tracking with the body more or less. The textures are in their correct places. Not really a whole lot more you can ask for in terms of doing model swaps and stuff like that. This works for bosses just as much as it works for any other enemy or NPC or anything like that. So if that was helpful, leave a like, subscribe, all that.